Okay, so welcome to our next to last session, ladies and gentlemen. It's nice to see you for almost the last time. So, what are we going to do today? What are we going to study in this occasion? Well, according to the learning guide, um, we are going to present a video presentation. Let's be redundant in this case. So let's remember that we mentioned in our last session that this activity, today's activity, and the previous activity are the same, right? The only difference is that they are separated, divided into parts. Because according to the schedule, let's go to the schedule first before the learning guide. According to the schedule, we mentioned that presentación mi nuevo proyecto and video presentación mi nuevo proyecto are the same because in evidence 3 is just the written activity and evidence 4 is the spoken activity. So we have until the 21st to present these two activities as well as the forum and the test because our the 21st at midnight is going to be the deadline to present all activities because on the 22nd and the 25th we the instructors spend some time to grade missing activities and to make the certification process. So we are going to present these four activities and we have until the 21st. Now let's return with the learning guide. The learning guide said for activity number 3 es this. La presente evidencia le permite presentar esas acciones y actividades que le gustaría hacer o va a hacer en el futuro, dependiendo de los escenarios en los que esté interactuando, enmarcados en un contexto personal, social o laboral. In other words, what do you want to achieve in the short, medium, and long term? So, dado lo anterior, debe elaborar una presentación en la que utilice condicionales zero and first. So, this is activity number 3. Let's go with activity number 4 because we're interested in activity number 4. So, activity number 4, video presentation, says durante la siguiente evidencia deberá utilizar la presentación realizada por usted anteriormente. Once again, the activity is divided into parts. The first part is the written activity and the second part is the spoken activity because they are exactly the same. Deberá utilizar la presentación realizada por usted anteriormente y exponer esas ideas mediante un corto video activando su cámara web y de forma oral mencionar las ideas expuestas respecto a su trabajo. Para la elaboración del video con la cámara web, tenga en cuenta el desarrollo de un guión o estructura. You have already presented that in evidence number 3, en la que se disponga la presentación con 5 diapositivas mientras realiza su intervención oral, su comentario. Recuerde incluir diapositiva de portada, diapositivas de actividades que llevarán a cabo en su proyecto. So, what do you want to do in the future in terms of short, medium, and long term, right? Realizando comentarios y utilizando condicionales. This is the most important part. You need to use conditionals, conditional zero and conditional first minimum, right? If you don't use conditionals, we are not going to be able to approve this evidence, ¿vale? So let's continue. Okay, you're going to present a video, and this video must last between 3 and 5 minutes. Una vez finalizado el video, debe subirlo a YouTube o Vimeo con su cuenta personal o institucional. Compruebe que no tenga restricciones para que pueda compartir el enlace de visualización. La extensión debe durar entre 3 y 5 minutos y puede enviarme el link de YouTube o de Canva o cualquier otra plataforma, ¿vale? So, this is what we are going to present in this occasion, ¿vale? So, activity number 3, once again, and activity number 4 are exactly the same. Activity number 3 is the presentation in slides, so it's a written presentation. Activity number 4 is exactly the same activity, but read by you. So you're going to read what you typed in evidence number 3. That's it, nothing else. So this activity is very easy because, I mean, this level is going to be a little easier because it's the amount of evidences is reduced because evidence 3 and evidence 4 are exactly the same. So there's no, we are not going to have a lot of issues in here. Okay, so according to the learning guide says if we go to the UNAM, right, and we go to our course, in this case, English as Work Level 5, yeah, this one. I'm going to make a switch in the role, just a moment. The information we are going to need to present our activity is located in componente formativo, things I'm going to do. So if we open this link, we are going to find the information, the required information to develop these activities. So in here, the information is, the most important information is future simple tense. We have already studied this topic, and conditionals. What kind of conditionals? Because we have 4 conditionals. Here is the information of 0 and first conditionals. So here is the information you're going to need to present this activity. ¿Vale? The other question is, where do we have to upload the link or the video if you are capable to upload the video? In the link, video presentación, mi nuevo proyecto speaking, you're going to be able to upgrade, to include, to post the activity. So, agregar entrega. And in here, you can you can paste the link, the YouTube link or Vimeo, I guess, or Canva link, or if you have the video, you can drag and drop it here. So go to that canvas, and that will be all. I will be able to check the evidence. ¿Vale? Okay, so we already know what we have to present in this occasion. So to do that, we need to remember something, because we are going to study how conditionals work, 0 conditional and first conditional. Tomorrow we are going to study first conditional, but today we're going to focus in 0 conditional. 0 conditional requires the use of simple present tense. So a quick reminder of how simple present tense works. Let's remember that simple present tense is divided in 2 parts. The first part is the management of verb to be. Let's remember that verb to be is conjugated as am for I, is for a woman, a man, or an animal, when they are alone, of course, and are for everybody else. I mean, we, you, and they. And if we compare the functionality, how the grammar works in Spanish and what's the organization in English, we're going to say that it's pretty much the same. Yo soy alto, I am tall. Mariana no está casada, Mariana is not married. ¿Está usted en Bogotá? Are you in Bogotá? Yes, no, right? So the organization is pretty much the same if we compare Spanish with English. So this is the first part. On the other hand, we have the management of other verbs like create, believe, go, come, lunch, have lunch in this case, to have, enjoy, and so on. So we said that for affirmative sentences, like in Spanish, we need a person or a group of people, Mariana and I, Christina, Mario, your relatives, and so on, who are going to perform an activity, work, study, believe, create, and so on. For example, Marcos writes, or we study, right? We need a person or group of people who perform an action. That's it. To create negative sentences and questions, we also need an auxiliary verb. We're going to use an auxiliary verb. And this auxiliary verb is going to be do or does. We are going to use does when the person who doesn't perform an action, or the person who we are asking for, is a woman, a man, or an animal. We're going to use does for a man, a woman, or an animal, and we are going to use do for everybody else. And there's something I forgot to mention for affirmative sentences, and is that if the action, the activity is performed by Mario, Christina, and the fly, this action is going to be modified. We are going to add S, ES, or IES. This is a quick reminder, this is a quick recap of something you have already studied in level 1, level 3, I'm pretty sure, and I guess in level 2 again. So this is something you already know, you already understand. But we need to understand this part in order to be able to study and comprehend conditionals, because zero conditional, this is the first conditional we are going to study. Tomorrow we are going to study first conditional, but zero conditional requires two sentences in simple present tense. That's why we needed to study simple present tense. So what are conditionals? What are they? And how do they work? What is this important for us? Well, let's begin with the idea that a conditional, requires a word that helps us understand that there is a condition. I mean, when this happened, then this other situation happened at the same time. So, like in Spanish, like this, its name says, mentions it. There is a condition. So when we have an activity, when we have a situation, when we performance an action, we are going to have a result, but only if this action, activity, is this reality, this situation becomes true. If this situation becomes true, a situation A, the result is going to be option A, B, C, D, E. And the probability of success might vary, might change according to the facts or the opinions or the truth or the projections of future. So the prediction of the result is going to change, and because it's going to be more probable or less probable, we're going to say, according to the probability of a success in terms of our prediction, we are going to use zero, first, second, or third condition. ¿Vale? So this is a condition. So to create a condition, we are going to need a word that mentions a condition. And this word is going to be if or whether. In general terms, we can exchange them because they are often interchangeable. Always, no, because the translation for whether and if is exactly the same. Sí. But in Spanish, it's difficult to understand this because sí can be translated the interpretation of sí is huge. For example, in this case, in Spanish, we say, ¿quiere comer? Sí. ¿Tiene dinero que me preste? Sí. Right? So this is the yes in English. But if we want to use if or whether, in Spanish would be something like, si llueve esta noche, entonces me quedo viendo Netflix. Si paso el examen, entonces aplico para una beca. Si paso el año, me voy de celebración con mis amigos. Right? This is the condition. Right? So this is the if and where. That's what they mean. But we have already mentioned the difference between if and yes or whether and yes. What's the difference between if and whether? Because they are pretty similar, not the same, but they are very similar. We're going to use whether when we want to express two possibilities, two alternatives. So, for example, let's suppose we want to paint our house. And the house, we know that we like blue and violet. So these two colors are colors that we love for our house. So we could say, if we paint the house in blue, this is going to happen. Sorry, whether we paint the house of blue or violet, we are going to like it. So both possibilities are acceptable, but there are no other options. So this is the use of whether. Whether we do this or whether we do that, we are going to happy with the result. This is the situation. Another example. It's not sure or isn't sure whether she will be interested in getting the job. So she might be interested in getting the job or she might not be interested in getting the job. There are only two options, or yes or no. Or we have a budget and we could buy, I don't know, a house or an apartment. I don't know whether to buy a house or an apartment. I have the budget and I want to be independent. So I don't know if this is better or the other options is better, right? But there are only two possibilities, whether I choose an apartment or a house. Right? So we use whether when we have two alternatives in a hypothetical situation because conditionals work in hypothetical situations. It's like when we play billiards. So for all conditionals, I mean, we use when we play billiards, and if we play billiards, because maybe we don't play, but when we hit the white ball, the white ball is going to hit the other balls, and the other balls, the yellow one, the black, the blue, the green one, are going to move on the table. Some of them are going to fall in the holes in the table, and others are going to keep moving. So when we do this, this other situation happens. So the difference between if and whether is that we only have two possibilities, two options, two alternatives. And if is used when we have many options, many results. It can be option A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and so on, right? It's like a tree. When we have a tree, the tree is the main action, and the branches are the results. Option A, option B, option C, option D, and so on. So this is the difference between if and whether, because both are translated as si. Si esto, entonces aquello. But the difference between if and whether is used when we only have two possibilities, two alternatives, and if is used when we have many alternatives. This is acceptable for all conditionals, by the way, if and whether. Now, we mentioned that a conditional is used when we have a circumstance, a situation. So, given this possibility, this situation, this circumstance, the result is going to be this. So, if a particular condition happens, a particular result occurs. So it's like we have a situation of cause and effect, and this is where the billiard game example comes to has a lot more sense, right? We use conditionals to talk about hypothetical events and their results. In this case, we are going to need for all conditionals two sentences, two phrases. One is the condition, this is the first sentence, and the other is the result, the other sentence. We may have the result in the beginning and then the starting situation, or vice versa. It's okay, it doesn't matter. If we have the starting situation, the hypothesis, and in the beginning, the hypothesis is always going to have the if word or whether word, right? And also, it's going to be separated by a comma to the result of the other sentence. Option A. Option B. If we start with the result is not going to be separated by a comma because after the result we have the starting situation, the starting point, the hypothesis, And this hypothesis is going to start with the word if. ¿Vale? So we have two ideas, two situations, two sentences. The condition comes with the word if, and the result or the effect is going to come, is going to be separated. ¿Vale? By the way, we need to use them together. They cannot be alone. Otherwise, the interpretation is not going to be understandable. We are not going to understand. We're not going to completely, fully comprehend what we are mentioning. Therefore, we need both sentences, both the cause and the effect. Otherwise, we are not going to know what's happening in this situation. For example, if I get lost, okay, what happens if I get lost? I might commit suicide. I might ask for advice. I might take a cab, a taxi. I might look for information in Google. What do I do in this occasion, right? This is why this needs more context. Option B, I ask for directions. Okay, if I ask for directions, what's the context, the previous context in terms of asking for directions? Why do I ask for directions, right? This is not a understandable. Therefore, we need to use both sentences in the same situation, in the same context. Right? Now, we understand now what are the components for all conditionals. And we also understand what's the difference between the word if and whether. That's great. Now we are going to complete this session mentioning what is important for us to understand the objective of this activity. We are going to study how zero conditional works. And first of all, the question here is, why do we study zero conditionals? Why is this important? Okay, so zero conditional is used to talk about facts or situations that are true. Or in another case, given this situation, the result is going to be 100% predictable, right? Because we know for certainty, because because it's based in rules or in laws or in science. Right? So this is this is why we study zero condition. When we have a situation A, we have a situation B, but the probability of success, the accuracy for us to predict this event, the result, is 100% a fact. It's completely sure. It's a 100% vertical. The cause is going to be mentioned, therefore, in simple present tense, and the effect is going to be mentioned in simple present tense, right? Because we are talking about rules or something, or laws, or something based in science. If we want more information, we are also using conditional zero to talk about general habits. So this is something that I normally do because you know that habits are difficult to change, therefore they are normally repeated. And this is an example. If I am tired, this is the condition. The effect is I go to bed early. This is what I almost always do. So this is pretty easy to predict. Second situation, we use the zero conditional to talk about permanent facts or permanent truths, something that is true in Colombia, Brazil, Germany, Poland, and so on. And this is true everywhere. So this is a general fact, for example. If you heat water to 100 centigrade degrees, it boils. So this is true everywhere. And finally, to give instructions. This is also used with zero condition. For example, if it rains, and this is an order, if you want kind of a law from me to somebody else, kind of a rule. This is an order. For example, if it rains, don't go to the playground. This is what I tell to my nephew, to my niece, to my son, to my daughter, or to the child in at home, because I don't want him or her to get sick, for example. ¿Vale? So this is why we study zero conditionals. Now, how do this work? How does this work? Sorry. We need, as we mentioned before, as all conditionals, we need the word if or the word whether. We have two options, if and whether. For simplicity, we are going to say that we are always going to use if, just for simplicity. If is going to be along with the cause, and this cause is going to be mentioned in simple present tense. Then we have the effect. So to separate the cause and the effect, we are going to use a comma. Option A. Option B. We have the effect, and this is going to be mentioned again in simple present tense. And then the cause or the starting point is going to be mentioned in simple present tense, but it's going to have the word if. Two possibilities, two options, two examples. If snakes are scared, they bite. Simple present tense, simple present tense. We are beginning with the cause and we are finishing with the effect. Option A. Option B. Snakes bite if they are scared. And this is exactly the same. We're mentioning the same. Just we are just exchanging the order of this the exchanging the order of the sentence. That's it. Another example. If you keep milk in the fridge, it lasts longer. Or milk lasts longer if you keep it in the fridge. Okay, so this is it. This is what you need to know in order to be able to present your activity using zero conditional. These are here you have more examples. So if, present simple, and present simple, or present simple, if, present simple. This is the structure. You need to remember how simple present tense works. And tomorrow, in our last class, we're going to study how first conditional works. So, as always, if you have any questions, guys, don't hesitate to contact me via Zayuna or via email, and I'll be taking into account all your comments. Thank you very much for coming, and I'll see you next time.